From Ticker News with Aaron Young, this is Ticker Today.
Hello, thanks for joining me today. Major tariff tensions from the White House. President Trump expands his trade offensive, slapping up to 40% tariffs on imports from 14 new countries, including Brunei and Moldova, in a bid to correct trade deficits. Diplomacy and deportations. Trump pushes West African leaders to accept deported migrants while dangling promises of US investment and stronger security ties. Crash clues in India. Investigators zero in on fuel switch controls in that tragic Air India crash in June that killed more than 270 people, with an initial report due out this week. Formula One fallout. Red Bull Racing fires longtime boss Christian Horner amid scandal and internal upheaval as fans worry what's next for Max Verstappen. And leadership exit at X. Linda Yaccarino resigns as CEO of X, formerly Twitter, as pressure now mounts over ad struggles and clashes inside Elon Musk's media empire. This is Ticker Today, bringing you the top stories shaping the world right now. First today, President Donald Trump has sent letters to leaders of 7 countries announcing new US tariffs and rules on imports. It comes after he notified 14 other nations of significant tariffs set to begin in August. The countries targeted include the Philippines, Brunei, Moldova, with tariffs ranging from 20 to 40%. Trump has stated that the new rates aim to address what he perceives as trade deficits, despite some experts questioning his approach. Meanwhile, President Trump met with leaders from West African nations at the White House, focusing on economic and security issues. The US administration requested that these countries now accept migrants deported from the US whose homes nations are unwilling to take them back. Meanwhile, African leaders highlighted their region's potential for US investment amidst growing security challenges from Islamist insurgencies. President Trump wanting to change the conversation to trade.
And we're shifting from AID to trade. We had AID, or aid as we sometimes call it, right to trade, and trade seems to be a foundation that I've been able to settle a lot of these disputes, like as an example, India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I said, you guys are going to fight, we're not going to trade. And we seem to be quite successful in doing that. To that end, we have closed the USAID group to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, which was tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. And we're working tirelessly to forge new economic opportunities involving both the United States and many African nations.
The leading Republican in the Senate has announced that a bipartisan vote on sanctions against countries buying Russian oil could take place this month. The proposed legislation, which has gained support from 83 senators, aims to apply pressure on President Putin amid his ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal have adjusted the bill to include a waiver for President Trump, allowing him some discretion in enforcing the penalties. Now, if the bill garners his support, it could be voted on before the Senate's recess begins August 1.
I hope that we can get it on the floor before the August recess. We are working with the administration, with the House, to try and get it in a form where it's ready. Obviously, there is a tremendous amount, as you know, of bipartisan support here in the Senate. I think that's shared in the House of Representatives, at least I hope that it is. And in the White House, obviously, is very engaged in trying to get it in a form that we can transact it and move it across the floor of the Senate. So whether that happens in the next couple of weeks is a bit of an open question, but I'm hopeful that it can.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was welcomed at the Pentagon by Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth and senior military officials to discuss the recent military achievements against Iran. The two leaders expressed gratitude for each nation's contributions to ending the 12-day Iran-Israel conflict. They highlighted successful operations, including Operation Midnight Hammer, which targeted Iran's nuclear facilities. Netanyahu acknowledged the strong US-Israel alliance and its importance in promoting stability in the Middle East.
President Trump and I have a common goal. We want to achieve the release of our hostages. We want to end Hamas rule in Gaza. We want to make sure that Gaza does not pose a threat to Israel anymore. In pursuing this common goal, we have a common strategy. Not only do we have a common strategy, we have common tactics. This doesn't involve pressure It doesn't involve coercion. It involves full coordination. President Trump wants a deal, but not at any price. I want a deal, but not at any price.
A preliminary report on the June Air India crash expected to be released this week, revealing that investigators are now focused on the fuel control switches of the aircraft. The incident resulted in the deaths of 241 people on board and at least 29 on the ground. While there are no immediate concerns regarding mechanical failure, investigators are now examining the relationship between engine thrust and the movements of the fuel switches. India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau now leading the inquiry, which has faced scrutiny over the availability of information following the crash. And major F1 news today, Red Bull Racing announcing the dismissal of team principal Christian Horner. After 20 years with the team, his departure follows a turbulent period marked by a past scandal and internal changes. Laurent Mekies will take over as the new CEO, guiding the team into their next race in Belgium. The decision sparking significant reactions in the F1 community, many fans expressing their shock, raising concerns about the future of star driver Max Verstappen. Linda Yaccarino has stepped down as CEO of X, formerly known as Twitter, following the merger with XAI. Her departure comes amid ongoing challenges with advertising and content moderation at that social media platform. Yaccarino's tenure has been marked by struggles to attract advertisers, as well as internal conflicts with the new financial chief, Reza Banki. And despite the challenges, X anticipates growth in revenue later this year. Let's take a look at the markets now. The S&P 500 rose, driven by Nvidia's significant achievement, briefly reaching a $4 trillion market valuation. The S&P climbed as well, closing 6,263. The Nasdaq Composite set a new record as well, and President Trump announcing those new US tariff rates on goods from 6 additional countries. The market appears to be dismissing those developments for now.